I have been asked a lot of times, Mac, how do we craft? I have spent a lot of time today reading through a lot of things. Just a lot of things about a lot of stuff about how things work as far as staff mods. Because that's really the base question. At this point, since we can craft all these awesome things, how do we get the staff mods that we want? But staff mods are their own thing. So when we're looking to craft, what are we looking for? We're looking for really good affixes, and then on class-specific items, like a Katar, so an Assassin Claw, or a Necromancer Head, what we're really looking for are staff mods. A staff mod is anything that rolls between 1 to 3 skills to a specific class's skill. So here, this weapon has 2 staff mods. It rolled +2 to Chain Lightning Sentry and +1 to Dragon Tail. You can have 3 staff mods on class-specific items, and those staff mods can roll between 1 to 3. But when you ask the question, what is an Automod? An Automod is something that is available on a base weapon or a base item that isn't an affix and isn't a staff mod. So for Necromancers, the Automod on their shields is that it adds poison damage to your attack. The Automod on Paladin shields is that it can either have enhanced damage and attack rating, or it could have all res. Those are Automods. And those are things that roll on the base item, regardless of anything else. Then those items can also have staff mods. Let's start off with weapons that get staff mods, because that's really what I want to cover here. Again, I already did a whole, can you do this in crafting? How does crafting work? How do affixes work? How does character level and item level and quality level all interact? But now we're talking about staff mods. What are staff mods? Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you in on a little secret. No matter how many Katars I craft for you today, we are never going to get a staff mod. One of the really, really important things to note is that other than item level, there are 2 other things that you need to understand when you're crafting so you don't waste your time. First and foremost, Assassin Claws have weird restrictions on them, meaning that normal quality Katars, exceptional quality Kuhabs, wrist spikes, and fascias cannot spawn staff mods. Exceptional Katars, hand sides, and everything above, and elite all can. The second important thing to know is that there are no Amazon specific items that roll individual staff mods. Amazon items either roll +to bow and crossbow or +to javelin and spear. There's no maiden spear that also rolls with +3 to jab. That's just not a thing. They always get trees, and that's their staff mod. The other really important thing is that barbarian helms cannot roll with +2 combat skills. They cannot roll as staff mods on warrior helmets. You can only get passives and war cries. So let's roll a scissors Katar. So I'm level 1. I crafted with an item level 99 base item. If you do the math, that means that this thing's item level is now 49, and it rolled with no staff mods. Womp womp. Why did it roll with no staff mods? Well, how do you get staff mods on an item? Is the next question, right? Literally, how do we get that to occur on the item? And then, how do we manipulate it so that happens more often? It's sad to say, the answer is both not a lot, and also that's kind of a good thing, and it's kind of a bad thing. The first really important thing to know is that all staff mods fall into tiers, and the tiers are equal to what level these skills are typically available in vanilla Diablo 2. Now obviously PD2 is a little bit different, so the items have shifted in their tiers. Level 1 skills are in tier 1, Level 6 skills are in tier 2. Level 12 skills are in tier 3. Level 18 skills are in tier 4. Level 24 skills are in tier 5. And then level 36 skills are in tier 6. What is going to be available on the item? It's actually really easy to hit the maximum skill group. So, if the item level of the item is between 1 and 11, you are 80% likely to roll from tier 1 and 20% likely to roll from tier 2. So if you drop a really low level Necromancer head, you're going to have access to Teeth, and to Amplify damage, and to Raise Skeleton, and Corpse Explosion, and Clay Golem. You can't get Poison Dagger. There's a lot of restrictions on what you can get on these things. But you'll have access to these types of item, or these types of staff mods. Now, if you go up through the levels, where item level 37 is the maximum, at this point, you now have access to tier 3, 4, 5, and 6 as a potential to roll on the item itself. Item level 37. So we're level 1. I just crafted this. It dropped it all the way down to item level 49. This means that I'm over the level 37 threshold. So this item could have rolled with tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, or tier 6 assassin skills. So that would have given us access to Death Sentry, Blade Shield, Venom, Shadow Master, Mind Blast, Fade, and Weapon Block. All of those could have rolled on our claw. But that's kind of it. Everything else is random. Everything else is random. Because we are crafting, the item is generating as if it just dropped in the world. So, as if it were just a white item that dropped in the world, a magic item that you rolled with chip gems, or a rare item that wasn't imbued. This is the only value that matters, is what is the item level of the base. Quality level doesn't matter. Your character's level doesn't matter for any of these calculations, except for generating the item level of the craft. There's nothing else you could do. Every other calculation, I am going to go over how they all work, but every other calculation is a random number that just generates. Now, there's a lot that goes into manipulating an item's item level to get down into this lower range for the purposes of getting lower tier skills if those are relevant to your build. Now, what do I mean by that? If you notice, if you have item level 37 or higher, you have access to tier 3, 4, 5, and 6 skills. You cannot get tier 2 or tier 1 skills. You're never going to see a Necromancer wand that says +3 to lower resistance and +3 to teeth, because teeth is tier 1, lower res is tier 6. They cannot generate on the same item. So what if you're a Tiger Strike assassin and you want your claws to give you +3 to Tiger Strike? Well, that means that you need to have a maximum item level claw of 24. And if you're really looking for Tiger Strike, you need an item level claw of 11 or lower. You need to specifically have a lower level character working with a lower level item claw to actually get it to roll as a item level 11 or lower base. Because like I said before, specifically for the assassins, the base weapon like the Qatar, that like field of weapons, that version of the Qatar, those cannot roll with staff mods. It's only higher base type claws that actually can. So you basically need to take like a level 1 character, give them the mats, get a really low item level base, craft with that, and then you'll have a chance to get tier 1 mods on it. But it also means that you won't have access to the higher tier mods. So what you have to do is figure out what mods you're looking for, whether or not they fall together within the group that you want, and then figure out the item level that you're going to end up with your craft. And the way that that works is it is 1/2 of the base item. So if we go look at this, right, I crafted with an item level 99 claw, and I'm level 1. So it took half of my level, rounded. You can't get 0, right? So it took half of my level rounded up to 1, and it took half of 99 rounded down, and it always has a base value of 1. So when we finished this craft, we ended up with an item level 49 claw. Half your level, half the item's level, both rounded down, minimum 1, add them together, that'll be the item level that you craft with. That item level goes into this calculation to figure out what table you have available to you. So, first it counts the number of skills that are going to be available on the claw, or on the item in general. You have a 10% chance to get 3 skills in total. You have a 20% chance to get 2 skills. You have a 40% chance to get 1 skill. You have a 30% chance to get no skills. Then it takes what tier it's going to be, and it calculates it per each roll. So let's say we rolled a 92. That means I'm going to have 3 staff mods. And since my item level is over 37, it can either be a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. Right here, it calculates what your base value is going to be. So on the first staff mod, it rolls. And according to your item level, you are going to start off with a base of 5. 20% of the time, it'll add 1. So that means that the staff mod that's going to roll, instead of being from tier 5, is from tier 6. 50% of the time, it's going to say, do nothing to it. So the staff mod's going to be from tier 5. 20% of the time, it's going to minus 1. So that means that your staff mod's going to be from tier 4. And then 10% of the time, it minuses 2. So your staff mod's going to be from tier 3. That's why you only have access to tier 3, 4, 5, and 6, because this calculation, based off of your base value here, can only ever go +1 or -2, and then anywhere in between that. That's the reason why here, you have an 80% chance to roll with tier 1 if you have an item level 11. 50% of the time, it does nothing. 20% of the time, it minuses 1, but it can never go to 0, so it's always base 1. And 10% of the time, it's -2, but it can never go to negative, so it goes to base 1. So 80% of the time, you would get a tier 1 staff mod, and then 20% of the time, which you see right here, 20% of the time, it gets +1, bumping it up to a tier 2. So that's how it actually determines. It rolls this for each staff mod, and it goes, okay, now that I know what tiers my staff mod are going to be in, I'm going to move forward. It takes this value, B, and then it basically plugs it into a calculation that says, now identify which skill in that tier to get. Again, there's nothing that you can do about this. It is random. It takes the tier. It does a calculation where it takes the tier. And it's trying to calculate a skill ID. Each skill has a number identifier that goes to it, basically from like 28, and I'll show them. These are the skill IDs. So Oak Sage is Druid skill 226. Summon Spirit Wolf is Druid skill 227. You don't need to know this at all, but it plugs all this into this calculation, adds a random value, and then it says, okay, I'm now going to be skill 228 in tier 2. Oh, that's Werebear. Sick. So it generates which skill it's going to be at this point. So we now have how many we have, what tier it's in, and then what skill it is. Now there are some skills that you can't get on a class-specific item. What skills are those? I said earlier, you can't get Poison Dagger. You can't get Poison Dagger on a wand. It can't give you +2 Poison Dagger on the wand itself. You can't get +2 Holy Shield on a Scepter, because it comes along with a tag that says Shield only. So this can't generate on a Scepter. So those are things that you just cannot get most of the time. You can't get them. So what it'll try to do is it'll try to calculate what skill it wants. So let's say it does the math, it adds this random modifier, and it ends up on Holy Shield. It checks that it's a Scepter, and it goes, okay, you can't have Holy Shield. Roll again. And if it rolls again and it comes up as Holy Shield, it goes, you can't have Holy Shield, roll again. And it does this 6 times. If on the 6th time, it attempts to roll a skill that can't be on the item, it will instead just generate it on the item. So you can go buy a wand that says +3 to Poison Dagger. And you can go buy a Paladin Scepter that says +3 to Holy Shield. It's incredibly rare. You can go find them. There is evidence of this occurring. It's not supposed to be able to happen, but the game needs to not get caught in infinite loops, so it lets it spit it out. Here's another question. I have a scepter. It's going to have 3 staff mods. Cool. They're all tier 6. I roll the first one, and I get Holy Nova. Second staff mod rolls. It also rolls Holy Nova. Well, if you roll the same staff mod, that fails, and it attempts to roll again. If you roll it again, and it comes up as the same staff mod, so I roll Holy Nova for a second time, it fails, it tries to roll again. 3, 4, 5. On the 6th time, if you would roll the same staff mod, it replaces the original staff mod. You could have had an item that rolled 3 tier 6 plus 3 skill staff mods, but because they all rolled the same, you get an item that just has 1 staff mod that says plus 3 to Holy Nova. So that can happen. That is something that occurs. Again, incredibly unlikely, but that's how the game deals with infinite cycles. If it hits a 6th time, it just generates the item and replaces it. So you might have had a really, really good item, but the staff mod failed to change, or failed to roll a different staff mod each time, and replaced it. The last part that I haven't covered yet is how does the game determine whether or not it's a +1, +2, or +3? Well, it uses its handy dandy roll a d100 again. You have a 10% chance to roll as a +3. You have a 30% chance to roll as a +2, and you have a 60% chance to roll as a +1.